Welcome back to On the Fly Podcast, a Financial Literacy Institute podcast. Man, tonight we have a super duper uber special guest. This is someone I've been waiting for so long to hop on the podcast. We're going to get into all the ways he has inspired me, inspired things that are of FLI currently, and just the amount of amazing work this man is doing in the financial literacy space. It's just an absolute honor to have this guest on with us tonight. Before we get into him, though, really quickly, as you guys know me, I'm Olayinka Famadou, president of Financial Literacy Institute. We got Tyrone and Josh as the ambassadors. Super thankful to have you guys. How are you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good, man. Looking forward to this conversation.
Man, as am I. Appreciate you, Tyrone.
Yeah, same here, man. Got a great guest. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. I appreciate you guys. And yeah, so again, for this guest, just quick intro, because I just really want to hop into this. I'm super excited. For those, we already, just going to let you guys know, we were already having fire conversations prior to the recording. And I was like, no, we got to get this recorded because it's heat. So, so today we have no one other than Marc Russell from BetterWallet. This is somebody, and again, we're having the conversations off camera, but I'm super excited we're recording now. This is someone who has been such an influence to me personally for so long. And I kid you not, for our listeners, if it probably wasn't for him, there might not have been FLI. I'm going to be completely real, because the amount of influence he's had on me has brought so much, again, influence on the things that I do and the things that, how FLI kind of works, right? So we're going to get into that. But this is someone who I've seen on multiple other, again, financial influencers, also on Instagram, on YouTube. We'll get into that later as well. But just how amazing he is. I can already tell his charisma and his humor is great. We're going to get into that. It's going to be absolutely amazing. But again, we have tonight Marc Russell from BetterWallet. Marc, can you kind of tell a little bit about who you are, what you do, what you maybe BetterWallet's all about? Because again, there's so many listeners who I've hyped you up in our Discord, on our Instagram, and I'm super excited for them to finally get to know you today, as well as myself, Tyrone, and Josh. We want to get to know you. So can you kind of tell us who you are and what you do?
I appreciate the intro, man. I've never been defined as the adjectives of super duper uber. But today is the day that I am super duper. I'm gonna get a shirt and we're gonna sell that shit out.
Okay.
Super duper uber. Remember that. So Marc Russell, BetterWallet. BetterWallet is all focused on helping people who did not learn finance growing up, teaching them specifically how to go and invest. The reason why I created is because I come from absolutely nothing. And when I joined my first company after Penn State, go Penn State, fuck Ohio State. Sorry, this is a sidebar. I had to finish because I know Joshua can't say anything, so he's muted right now. So I had to throw that in there. We were talking about that before the recording.
Oh my goodness.
But when I left Penn State or graduated from Penn State, my first job was at Vanguard, and I screwed up every last dollar that I got at Vanguard. I was living paycheck to paycheck, and I had no clue what to do with my money because no one taught me. No one teaches this stuff in college. Like, I didn't have a great podcast like this where they're talking about money, right? My parents come from nothing. They didn't have any money saved up. So I screwed it up. Albeit it was only about $50,000, but that was more money than most people that I knew had. So screwed it up. And that's really what BetterWallet is all about, is teaching people how to go about investing and managing their money and, frankly, learning from my mistakes, really trying to streamline their finances so they can invest more. So I'm happy that I now have this platform. I was telling the guys, 4 years in the running now, which is crazy to even think about. Last year, 2 years ago, actually, in November, I quit my full-time gig as a financial executive to do BetterWallet full-time, which, it all happened by accident. The math started mathing, and I'm like, I don't need to do this job anymore, with some help with some friends and community members. So it's been great kind of going through this journey. So not only having the Instagram, but being on all socials, luckily enough to be on some pretty big publications as well. So the fact that people are listening to what I'm trying to tell people is really powerful. And a lot of that comes from not only the School of Hard Knocks, but also what I learned as a financial advisor and stockbroker, and going through corporate America and getting my teeth punched in every single day, and using all of that, all those learning moments to teach people, hey, here's how you can go about managing your money. And on top of that, how can you make more money along that same path. So it's been a fun journey.
No, this is good. And there's so much to unpack there, Marc. I appreciate everything you just shared. And there's like little nuggets. Okay, I want to talk about that. I'm looking forward to hearing about that. Man, I didn't know that. So number one, and this is great. This is great, right? So number one, Penn State. I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
number two, I'm just joking. Number two, I'm curious. I want to start here, right? So, like I mentioned off camera, is that all of us are college students, right? So you mentioned Penn State. You went to school to Penn State. I'm curious what you studied. And then number two, I didn't know you worked at Vanguard. So maybe for what you can tell us, maybe tell us a little more about that, because I'll keep it 100. Like I mentioned, we're all engineers here. I'm an engineer, biomedical engineer. And because I have a passion for personal finance, right? It's like, even though I study biomedical engineering, it would be awesome to work at a financial firm like Vanguard or Fidelity, or even like somewhere like NerdWallet, right? Or, something like that, right? But you might not have had BetterWallet at that time, so maybe there wasn't a conflict of interest. But I'm getting lost in the sauce. Number one, what did you study? How was school? How was Mark as a college student? And number two, what was Vanguard like? And how much did you take from Vanguard to maybe apply to what you currently do?
Definitely. Do you really want to know how Mark was in college?
Talk to me.
We gotta hear it. We gotta.
We call it pre-Better Wallet. It was a wild time.
It was wallet.
I stepped on campus, and the first email that I got from Penn State was, "Welcome to Penn State. Great to have you." The second email was, "You owe us $20,000." So I didn't have the money to be going to Penn State. I thought, because I was naive, that I would step on campus and everything is going to be paid for. Again, I'm dating myself, but this was back at like the financial crisis, 2008, 2009, was like my first year in college. So me, a kid from the hood, is asking for $20,000 from Penn State. And they're like, why would we give you, kid from the hood, $20,000 to go to the school if you don't have any credibility whatsoever? I get it. In the middle of the worldwide financial crisis, understood, right? So I had to learn a lot about positioning myself. I learned a lot about people who say they're going to do certain things that they really don't. I learned the power of having things in writing. I learned a lot at a very young age. I was 18, 19 at the time. And I had to grow up fast, because I knew if I did not grow up fast, if I didn't learn what I needed to learn, I was going to get kicked out of school, which I eventually did, but that's a longer story. This is a FLI exclusive. A lot of people don't know about that. I got kicked out of Penn State because I didn't have $900 to pay for tuition. Longer story, which is crazy now, because I'm like, I could easily pay for that. But so yeah, I mean, first year, I didn't know anything about college. I just knew I needed to be in college to escape the reality that I was in at home. Right back at home, everyone they how can I explain it? They were entrepreneurs, but they didn't pay taxes. I'll put it that way. Entrepreneurs did not pay taxes, and I knew that if I didn't go to college, I was going to be another entrepreneur that didn't pay taxes. Right. Yeah. So went off to college in order to escape. I knew if I put in those 4 years, then maybe I can get a corporate job. Maybe I could be an executive one day. But that was the bridge from one place to another. So fast forward 1 year, I ended up getting kicked out of Penn State, as I mentioned, because I didn't have $900. So again, do the math. You guys are smart, right? $20,000. I paid off the difference between $20,000 and $900, right? So $19,000 and 19,100, right? I paid that amount off from working odd jobs, scholarships, grants, loans, and I owe them $900. And I was supposed to pay them that during finals week, and I didn't, because my uncle ended up passing away, and we had to help pay for that, whatever. And then the day after finals, they dropped me from Penn State and said, "You are no longer at Penn State." So
what year was that? What year were you in school?
2009.
No, but were you freshman, sophomore, junior?
Oh, right after freshman year. After freshman year.
Oh, after freshman. So you accrued $19,100 in your freshman year.
Yeah, my entire. I mean, altogether, housing, room, board. I don't know how much it is now. I'm sure it's way more expensive, but
right.
Room, board, tuition, everything that came
Books,
along,
all of it.
Everything that was billed to the bursar's office, it was $20,000 altogether.
I'm just amazed how you accrued that as a freshman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then again, because of $900 deficit, Wow. Okay. No, continue. I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah,
This is great.
yeah. At $900, I think it was $900.24, but who is counting? Not that it's ingrained in my head or anything, but so kicked me out, and I had to go through a retroactive registration in order to get back into Penn State. A lot happened that summer. In fact, even my dad passed away. It was a lot. It was a wild summer. So the day that my dad passed away is a day that I'm getting back into school. And then 2 weeks later, after a funeral and all that stuff, which I'm breezing over because that's not the topic of this podcast. But 2 weeks later, I had to go back to Penn State, like after that summer, right? A shell of myself, right? And I had to learn how to go from being, a boy to a man overnight. Like when my dad passed, he was a breadwinner. He was my best friend, and I didn't even mention the fact that I was adopted. So I went through foster care. I was eventually adopted. So like he was the only, for like a short period of my time with them, like he was, again, my best friend, like the only dad that I knew. And the fact that he was gone was like earth shattering for me. But in my life, I've learned some of the hardest things I've ever gone through are actually the best for me. So losing him, though, was horrible. I learned a lot about myself, and I needed to mature. As I mentioned, like I did a lot of things pre BetterWallet that I wish I've never done. Nothing horrible, but like I was just immature. I was an immature kid. I was on campus. I was hanging out with everyone and their mothers, like whatever. Like I was just having fun, right? But I had to learn that, I was there for a reason. I was there to graduate from school. So worked odd jobs, cutting hair. I was an umpire for some time, like for intramural sports. I was selling plasma for a little bit. As I was a barber, I was running a barber shop out of my dorm room. It was crazy. Just doing whatever I could in order to graduate from school because that was my dad's dream. So fast forward 3 years, I'm at graduation, and I already had a job lined up. I had a job lined up at Vanguard. At the time, I had no clue who they were. Again, kid from the hood. I didn't know who Vanguard was. They just said, hey, like you can go and you can make a decent paycheck by working at this firm. I remember calling my mom. I was like, Mom, I got a job at Vanguard. And I think they do, like, I'm looking at the Wikipedia, it says that they do securities. I don't know what that is. They're talking about like ETFs and mutual funds. I don't know what that is. And she's like, what? Like securities, like ADT? And I'm like, no, Mom, not ADT, not home security. I'm talking about like securities, like Wall Street shit, Mom. Like we're so she was like, okay, well, like if you get any other offers, like go with those. Like I don't know who they are. Right. So I set foot on campus at at Vanguard.
Yeah.
And I got into one of Vanguard's very prestigious programs. It's called the
Quick
Vanguard.
question.
Go for it.
Sorry, I'm curious. What did you study in school?
Oh, I didn't even talk about that. See, that's what I mean. I learned so much about myself at Penn State that I didn't even think about what I even graduated with. So I took business economics. So initially, I was going to go in for engineering because Penn State has one of the best engineering programs. And then I switched to business. And then I was doing business management for some time. My GPA was so low that I couldn't stick with business management. And the only degree program that I could stick with was business economics, which only required a 2.0. So I was like, bet I could do that. So, but I wanted to stay in the business school because it was like one of the best, still one of the best undergrad business schools out there. So, and I didn't want to have to go to another like college, like liberal arts or whatever.
Gotcha.
So yeah, the backstory of how I got into Vanguard, it's funny. I applied to hundreds of like different companies while I was at Penn State, and I didn't get in. I didn't get in because I didn't know how to interview. I didn't have like a dad or a mom to work their way, like for me to like get in or whatever. Like there was none of that happening. It was me against some guy who probably didn't give a shit that if he hired me or not. Right. So luckily in my interview that I had with Vanguard, I was able to talk to someone. And I think this is like a good takeaway for anyone who's listening, who's like, hey, like I don't have parents who could get me that job. Like they don't have a network. Your story is what's going to help you get to where you want to get to. Like, again, I had a very low GPA freshman year. Sophomore, junior, senior year, I did much better, but I didn't have anything. I was an economics degree. I didn't have my internship was at Macy's, out of all places, right? Like, and I got into Vanguard. The reason why I got in is because I had a powerful story and I could tell it really well. And then I also could tell them that I could run circles around everyone that's at that firm that you would quote unquote consider smarter than me or maybe more networked. And when I told them that story of like going through foster care, grinding through college, like losing my dad like in my arms like after freshman year, they were just like, "Oh my God, how did you go through that? Like you have to be clinically insane." And I was like, "No, like I was determined. And if I'm determined to get through college, I'm sure I can easily do your phone rule." Next thing you know, I got an offer. like so I'm on campus at Vanguard's campus. I'm with 20 other people all across the country. I only picked 20 people for, well, I should say 19. I was with 19 other people. They only picked 20 people out of the country for his program called the Vanguard Accelerated Development Program. And all of my peers were all trust fund kids, all of them. Like their dads or moms, like they work for private equity. And I'm here, again, kid from the hood that just works really hard. Trying to figure it all out. So I was reading a lot. I was studying a lot. I had to network with the people that, frankly, would never pay me a time of day and try to find a way to make sure I'm still employed there years later, because heaven knew that, over time I would probably get fired because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Became a stockbroker at that time, took Series 7. And then afterwards I was on the phone with multimillionaires. So again, kid from the hood talking to multimillionaires, helping them with the retirement accounts. And during that time, I was asking questions. And this is another key takeaway. Like when you get your first job, or even now while you're in undergrad, the people that are your professors or anyone that's older than you that is along the path that you think that you want to go along, let it be an engineer that might be on campus or whatever, ask them a million questions. How the fuck did you get there? What are the steps that I need to take in order to get there? They will answer you all day, every day. People love talking about themselves. Like they get excited, right? Go up to them, say, "Hey, I'm an engineer. I see that you're a chemical engineer working for whoever. I want to do the same thing. What steps do I need to take?" Because not only are they going to tell you how to get there, they're also going to help you along the way. They're going, "Oh, like I know there's one person that works here. I know there's one person that works at this gas and oil company, whatever." And then next thing you know, you're in, right? These are the intangibles that I can promise you the trust fund kids out there, they do not know this. They don't understand it because they never had to. But the people who had to grind their way to the top, like I can network with whoever. Put me in front of Bill Gates. I will get $1 million out of Bill Gates in a heartbeat. Yeah, and that's because I know how to network. I know how to talk to people. I know I'm a relator. I connect with people, and I know that, right? But the other kids out there, they didn't know that. So the reason why I climbed through Vanguard so quickly is because I had those networking skills. I was talking to, the CFO -1. I was talking to Jack Bogle in like the line at they call it the gallery, but the cafeteria, when Jack Bogle, RIP, when he was around. He was behind me in line at the cafeteria. If anyone who doesn't know who Jack Bogle is, he's the founder of Vanguard. And he was behind me and I was talking to him, networking, just, "Hey, like, here's some of the things I saw in this article that you wrote, or like this news conference that you had." I had a couple questions, right? And he had nothing but time. He was already, filthy rich. Like he was just some like old brittle guy. And, we had the conversation. He told me a lot of things that like now I have in my brain of like, I need to implement this. So that was like my first 15 months, 2 years at Vanguard, is kind of grinding through and learning as much as I can learn from the people that I was talking to. And I didn't mention, when I was on the phones, I was talking to retirees. So I would even ask them questions. "Hey, like, you have a moment? You have $5 million in your account right now. How did you accumulate 5 million? They have nothing but time. They're retirees. What the fuck? What are they going to do? Right? Like, I'm some curious kid and I'm just some guy from the hood. Like, let's talk about it. And they will literally bring me and like sit me down and say, "Hey, like, well, sit me down virtually, and say, "Hey, here was a blueprint. Here's how I got there." And a lot of what I teach now is what they taught me when I was on the phones, basically just burning time. So, and I'm, it is not like I'm just teaching it, right? I'm also implementing it. I went through the strategy of, make sure I knew where my money was going. I increased my income. I paid off $80,000 for debt. I was able to reach financial freedom to the point where I could quit my 9 to 5. And now I'm boosting my income as much as I possibly can in order to invest it to eventually get to the point where I don't have to work anymore. And when I say retirees, a lot of people are like, oh, so they're like 60 years old. No, I was talking to 34-year-old people that were retirees that just had money in their account. Because I think a lot of times, and again, this is something to write down, a lot of times people think that retirement is a number, like it's an age. It's nothing but a number. At the end of the day, it's a number. You reach that number, you're fucking good. Like the math, like at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I think, once you get into corporate, people are like, oh, I have to work here for 4 years. And it's not that. It's really not. You do the math. The hard part, the formula is really easy. The hard part is the execution. I told you guys about this like beforehand. Like with entrepreneurship, execution, if you could do that, then you're good. There's so many people that are just like me doing the same thing that I was doing 2 years ago. Reels came out and they were just, oh God, I can't do reels, right? Like I want to do static images. I can't do videos. They left because they couldn't execute, right? Like, so we had the same goals, but we just couldn't execute. So when it comes to just building your wealth, you want to execute as well every single day. And if you remain disciplined, and it doesn't have to be for the rest of your life. 10 years, it took me, 8 years in order to pay off all my debt. And now I'm financially free without any debt. And now I'm at a point that I could really do whatever the hell I want at any time I want. But it all came from those years of sacrifice. My friends thought it was lame of like, hey, like, oh, you're not going to pop bottles with us in the club. I'm like, no, I can use that same money to pay my student loan debt off. And I did that. And now, when I turned 30, I was 100% debt free. And at 31, I quit my job. Right. So that's really how it happened.
Hey, Mark, that is an incredible story, man. But the whole time you're telling it, I'm just thinking in my head, well, this man came from absolutely nothing. Where did this drive come from that you speak of? And that you obviously have gotten such great results from? What keeps you going?
Just me thinking to myself that I'm not supposed to be here. I think that gives me a lot of it's a lot of adrenaline that comes along with it, right? Like I'm honestly not like if you I didn't even tell you statistically what I went through. Like both my mom, my dad, like if you guys know anything about Philly, there's a place called Kensington. Kensington, if you Google it right now, is zombies. Like I don't even know if there's a place in Ohio like it. It's literally a bunch of zombies walking around. Drugs, people, drug abuse. Yep, exactly. Heroin, right? That's what I was born into. Both my mom and my dad, they went through it. My mom still is going through it. My dad, luckily, is out of it. So that's where I came from. I was a preemie baby, which is crazy. I'm 6'2", like 250 now. But I was a preemie baby. I spent a lot of time in the NICU. I'm not supposed to be here. I spent 13 years in foster care. No one from foster care, not many people from foster care go off to college, period. The fact that I was able to graduate from college. So like, I love just hearing the stats, right? Like I love when people are like, like foster children aren't like go off. And even in college, like people would say, well, no, the chances of you getting the finance and you being the business economics major is X. I love that because I eat that shit up. And I'm like, oh, that means I can prove you wrong. So I always just have a chip on my shoulder in anything that I do. Even, I mean, like literally everything that I have, even down to the podcast, someone was like, oh, well, I think your podcast is good, but can it be like top 1% in the country? I'm like, oh, yeah. Like, give me some time. Like, I just write that down on your whiteboard. I'll be there. So like, that's where the job comes from. But truly, if I could really tell you where it comes from, like, I'll kind of turn. Yeah. Picture on the wall there. Yeah. That's my dad. So there's over 100 photos of my dad on that picture right there. And it talks about when he was born and the day that he passed, right? Like I will never forget that day. Like it was, I skimmed over it because it's a really dramatic story, but it was a hard time to go through. Like at the age of, 19? Just seeing your best friend pass away in your arms, right? Like that moment alone is why I do what I do. Cause like, I didn't even talk about him, but like the guy was a very giving dude. Like we didn't have any money. We would house homeless people all the time. Hey, you don't have a home? Cool. Like, stay upstairs, right? You don't, like, you got kicked out of your house, stay upstairs. You just got out of jail and you're like a family friend. We know you mean well. Hey, here's a place. My dad would like have cookouts every Sunday, giving back, right? So like what you see on BetterWallet right now, sure, the money's nice, whatever. Like, but I'm not driven by money. I'm driven by like trying to help people achieve what my family wasn't able to achieve for multiple generations. So in my head, I'm like, if I could teach one person to budget better, pay off debt, invest, whatever, that means the world to me. The fact that you told me, hey, like FLI, I can't even say it right, FLI wouldn't have been here without you. Like, that means a lot, because that means that, like, not only did I help to teach you or whatever to go off and do whatever you're doing, you're going to impact so many other people that never had this conversation. They've never even thought about, hey, like, I need to get my finances together. And then it's a domino effect, because then those people, let it be 10, they're going to talk to 10 people. Those people are going to talk to 10 people. And you imagine the generations of people that you're going to impact. So like, I always think through that, but it all comes from, his name was Big Russ. Big Russell. Awesome. It all comes from him, right? Like, he taught me a lot of what I know now, in terms of like the intangibles. And now I get to bless the rest of the country, the rest of the world with what I know.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing.
Yeah. No, it's truly amazing, even just understanding and can relate to the fact that our heroes, probably for a lot of us too, is our fathers, right? That masculine father figure in our life, which is an amazing thing. And I appreciate you sharing that. And it's very interesting because you touched on something, and I love talking about this, where it's like us as teaching people financial literacy, right? You're not just teaching that one person, right? Even if you're not even talking to that person, but they watch a video and they learn something, even if you have 10 people listen to your podcast, 50 people, that one person is going to teach most likely their friends, their family, but also they're going to teach their kids. Their kids are going to teach their kids. And now, like it's a generational thing, right? And that's really the true purpose and passion behind what we do, most likely behind what you do as well. It's absolutely independent of money. Now, money's a nice byproduct. That's great. But it's absolutely to change the whole world's mind, or the whole world's view on money, to eventually change, again, like you were talking about, their legacies and their futures. And I absolutely love it. This is amazing, man. Oh, see, this is good. This is good. So number one, no, this is so good. This is so good. So I'm curious, right? Out of the things that you mentioned, I took some diligent notes. So what was like that catalyst? Because clearly there's so many amazing moments, right? That are very much catalyst worthy, right? What was that catalyst that was like, I need to get my personal finances better. And then two, maybe now that I got as you see, I ask questions in bundles. I need to get my personal finances better. So whatever that catalyst was. Two, now later on, now I got my personal finances to a good place. I want to take this to the next level to start teaching others.
Yeah. So for me, it was, I call it a single tear moment, right? So like you see in the movies, like a single tear coming down, you're like, and it's just like someone's thinking to herself, like, fuck, like something happened that was like horrible. That was me in Philadelphia, 2016, 2017, where I did my first budget, right? At first, I was doing the budget of like, oh, well, I mean, you guys are in college right now, so you don't get it as much. But when you get into the real world, you'll understand. You have these things called bills, like, and they suck, right? Like you get your paycheck, you get taxes taken out, and then there's a list of bills you have to pay, like your car, housing, whatever it might be. And at the end, like, you normally have an amount. So when I did it for the first time, when I was budgeting for the first time, I would just budget out all my bills and I'll have that amount. But then at the end of the month, I was basically living paycheck to paycheck. And the reason why is because I wasn't calculating what my variable expenses were, like going out, which Penn State at the time was like a big time party school. I was going out. I was paying for things I probably shouldn't been paying for. I had other things that I needed to pay for schooling, whether it be books or they had a thing at Penn State called Nittany Notes, which back in the day, like, we didn't have like Chat GPT. Like, you would go to Nittany Notes and get you'll get like the notes from like someone who already took the class and use that to study. I was paying for all these things, right? And all those things, as they started to, kind of add up, I realized that I didn't have any money left over. So I was effectively just like living paycheck to paycheck. And in my head, I was thinking, okay, well, I have all this debt. I was paying $1,500 in debt per month. And I'm like, how do I escape this? Do I do this for the rest of my life? And again, I had $80,000 of debt. I was like, do I pay off? Is that like my reality? I worked this hard. I got this job at Vanguard. Like, I'm doing well, but I'm living paycheck to paycheck. And it was embarrassing. And when I say it was a single tier moment, is because I was just like, I'm literally, I couldn't afford to pay for anything that I really wanted to pay for. So at that point, I was like, okay, well, I need to change something because there's no possible way that I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And frankly, I didn't like my job at Vanguard after some time. So I was like, I'm working a job that I hated. I'm now living paycheck to paycheck and I don't know how to escape. And I have all this debt that I have to pay because the only way I can't pay it, or the only way I'm going to be relieved of it if I die, like otherwise, like I'm going to have it. So that was the catalyst for me. And then over time, so kind of doing a time check, 2017, 2018, 2019, when I started my page. And on the page, I was just documenting my debt-free journey. It was really just an accountability exercise. And I was like, if I document my debt-free journey, someone's going to hold me accountable to that. And if they hold me accountable, then maybe I'll get it done. And albeit I found so many people online within what they call the debt-free community, which Dave Ramsey kind of coined and built out. And, people would say, oh, like, it's March, Mark, like, did you make your payment towards your debt? And I would say, oh, yeah. I need to update that, right? So over time, I was able to go and pay off that debt. But at the same time, people are like, hey, how are you doing this? How are you accumulating this money? Like what budget are you using? Like, let's compare budgets. Like, how are you doing this differently? How are you increasing your income? So we're having these conversations again, the power of being in a community, because you get to talk about this stuff. You get to hear like different perspectives. So over time, people are like, oh, like, so you kind of fast forward to 2019, 2020, people were like, oh, like, do you have like a budget template? And I would just give out my budget template. Over time, I was like, oh, like, maybe I'll give it away for like $1. And I would donate it, most of it to like charity, which I did. So 2020, July of 2020, I became 100% debt free from working odd jobs, decreasing my expenses, maybe even too much. That's a longer story. You can check my podcast for my three ways that I took frugality too far. So that's a longer story, but I might have decreased my expenses way too much. And I was able to then take that difference and apply it to my debt. Became 100% debt free. And then what's the next natural question that comes from people? Like, how did you do it? Right. Mm-hmm. That build an ebook. Hey, here's a $9.97 ebook. Here, like in my budget template, like you can get it for a bundle for like $9, whatever. Like I don't care. Like I wasn't trying to monetize. I was just like, I just want to help people. And like, sure, if I can get paid at the same time, sure. Like I'll use it to go and buy some booze somewhere or whatever. So that's really how it started. People asking like, hey, like, how did you do that? And I realized that it wasn't just my issue. It wasn't the issue of the debt-free community. It wasn't just an issue in Pennsylvania or in the country. It's a worldwide issue that people just didn't understand how to manage their money. And people are suffering, man. Like you guys don't see it as much in college because I feel like it's not like cool to talk about. But like people out there are like truly suffering. Like I talked to one of my students the other day, like she lost her mom the other day. And she was like, I don't know how we're going to pay for the funeral. I'm like, what? Like, it's things like that like really bother me because like, if you're not financially free, then it's really hard to do a lot of things. And then you kind of couple that with like a lot of what's happening in the economy right now, which you guys are kind of like in this bubble where you don't really see it as much. You might feel it a little bit, but people are like really struggling. They're losing their jobs. And if they don't have an emergency fund built up, then like, how do you even pay for bills, right? Like you can't just leave your place or like move to Mexico. You could, but that's frowned upon. But people are really struggling. So that's a lot of why I do what I do, because I want people to avoid that situation. And that's honestly why I do it, is like, I want to make sure people are in a good spot and then they can invest for themselves and invest for their families.
Yeah. That's really good. And man, there's every single like amazing story that you give. There's just so much to unpack there, and I want to make sure again all time is respected.
Yeah.
And so, I appreciate you sharing that. And this is so true, and this is exactly why we do what we do. And you make a great point. We're in college, we don't see it, we don't experience it. We're in this bubble, right? Again, I'm graduating May, so I'm about to enter it. But like you mentioned, actually, what we are experiencing at to some degree is the budgeting, because we teach zero-based budgeting,
Yep.
right? So we understand the car note, the rent, the gas, the groceries, the phone, the insurance, like list goes on, right? Be it the fixed, and then we talk about the variable, right? So for all of our listeners out there, that's what we teach, and keep on doing that zero-based budgeting, right? So I'm curious, and this is really, really good. I'm super excited to hear about this, right? BetterWallet.
Mhm.
Number one, why? Why is it named BetterWallet? I think there might be a cool story behind that. Why is it named BetterWallet? And then two, like, what do you, however you want to go deep with it, right? What do you do? Kind of like, not necessarily like an elevator pitch where it has to be quick, no, but as far as you want to go, I'm so interested, because there's probably way more than what we see on social media. And as much as you can and would like to share, I would like to know more of, like, why BetterWallet, and what do you do with BetterWallet?
Yeah. So like the entire platform.
Yeah.
So the funny thing with BetterWallet is it came by accident in a way. It wasn't like anything remarkable. Like I think Google has like a really cool story on how they like found like it's actually like a number and they backed into Google. It wasn't that at all. It actually started off with me just trying to think about like what my goal was. And I want people to be smarter with their money. So initially, a lot of people don't know this. 'Cause I don't really get this question all too often. So it's definitely an exclusive. It was originally the Smarter Wallet. So Smarter Wallet. And over time, I was like, oh, look, it's cool, but I don't know if I want to keep with this. And then everything broke out with like George Floyd. And this is, again, 2020. So if you're doing the math, you're probably like, wait, you just recently changed your name. Like, so we'll talk about it. So everything broke out with George Floyd. There was a lot of civil unrest. And in my head, I thought through, okay, like, again, I had 5,000 followers at this point. I was like, okay, well, who am I really trying to help out? I'm trying to help people that look like me. Okay, well, I'm going to call it Black Wallet, BLK Wallet. And I was like, okay, this is good. This is good. Then I realized over time, I was like, yeah, like I do want to help out my people, but at the same time, it's not just Black people who struggle with this. This is like a worldwide issue. Like every color, every race, like they deal with a lot of issues. Like a lot of work, like the people I grew up with, they struggle with it. A lot of them live paycheck to paycheck. They live in trailer parks. Like that was very normalized. So as I started realizing that I was only really helping out Black people, which is fine, I was just like, okay, well, I want to broaden my reach a little bit more, but I don't want to go back to Smarter Wallet. And I also don't want to change my logo, because at the time I thought my logo was super cool, which I still have now. So I was like, what starts with a B that also has a wallet at the end? And I like thought through it. And I literally went to Google and I was like looking it up. Now you can do it on Chat GPT, but like I just looked up on Google. And I was like, bear. Oh, that's weird. Better. Yeah, Better Wallet. Okay. Better Wallet. And I went to bed that night. I woke up and I got like one DM from someone who I like truly respect. They were like, I actually like that name, BetterWallet. Like it has a good ring to it. I was like, cool. I thought to myself, okay, like I'll probably change it in next couple months. I got super busy with like work and everything, never changed it, and it stuck. So, and then it got to the point where I was like, I should probably like trademark this. Now I own the trademark, which is like over here. Can't really see it, but now I own the trademark, which is wild. And then your second question, which I forgot already.
Yeah. So no, you're good. So well, first off, I just want to make a quick comment. So I love BetterWallet, right? Because it's the set of two syllables, right? Better Wallet. So it just rolls off the tongue beautifully, and I love that a lot. And the logo, that's super cool. Yeah, I love the logo. It makes so much sense. But yeah, the second question was, so number one, why the name, and a beautiful story. Number two, what are you currently doing? Maybe what's some current projects? And then the question I was going to ask after that was like, what's the future of it? Like, what are your visions?
Yeah, definitely. So, so BetterWallet again is all about teaching people personal finance that they didn't learn about personal finance growing up. I want to teach them how to invest not only for themselves but also build true generational wealth, which involves teaching your children, passing money to your children tax efficiently, right? So I try to master that entire flow. So BetterWallet is not only on Instagram. We have a YouTube now. We have the podcast. We have all socials at this point. We're even on Pinterest, which is actually very effective for podcasting. So quick tip. Future things I'm looking to do. So I used to live in Philly. About half a year ago, I moved down to Atlanta because I want BetterWallet to not just be a social media platform. I want to broaden out. I want to talk to people directly. So a lot of what I've been doing now over the last couple of weeks has been actually meeting people in person. So there's been conferences that I've been a part of that I spoke at. I'm having a meetup next month where I'm inviting all the people from Atlanta. But the community that I had in Philly was fairly small. And I knew that if I came down to Atlanta, where a lot of my clients, my partners, my business partners were, that I could expand even more and turn BetterWallet from just a Instagram platform to this worldwide movement. So that's the goal for the next year or so. In addition to that, I'm working on a couple of different products. So right now, I have the Financially Bulletproof course, which is basically for anyone who wants to, so I'll give you a backstory. When I came out of college and I started making that money, I wish someone gave me the formula for what the hell I should do with my money. So I built a program that teaches you all of that, from debt management to how to manage your expenses, how to budget your money, understand your numbers, everything when it comes to retirement plans, tax management. If you have kids or plan on having kids, how can you invest for your kids tax efficiently, how to boost your credit score, all that stuff is within the course, how to negotiate your salary. And you also get bi-weekly coaching with me. So like that course is like in and of itself is very, very comprehensive. So again, I wanted to figure out how can it be the best financial program out there, the best course out there. And now what I'm working on is a comprehensive program for business owners, people that are just like, hey, I started a business, or I'm looking to start a business. What the hell do I do to make sure that I'm making money and everything is structured properly? So I'm building that out as we speak. I'm still working on the name of it, but I'm just thinking your head, Financially Bulletproof Business. So if you're like, hey, like I'm an inspiring entrepreneur. I think I have an idea and I just want to build the structure. And then from there, I could figure out how to make more money. That would be the program that you would want to get into. And then you also would get bi-weekly coaching from me to teach you how to do it.
No, this is great. And I'm excited. Again, I would love to continue this conversation offline when we have the opportunity to do that. But this is really cool. And I love, and this is a question I personally wrote down. Again, we can talk about it later. The fact how, because I'll keep it 100, and a lot of people in our community, they know that we do this. We do a coaching program, which takes a lot of our time, but we love it, right? And it's something that, produces a lot of results. But honestly, it's a bottleneck because as you know, and you probably, I don't know if you started off like this as well, our time is limited, right? We have 3 coaches and we would love to take on more people, but whether we're students or some of our coaches are full-time, like it just takes a lot of time. So the fact that, and this is just brilliant, where you have a course that is most likely, whether pre-recorded or something that's a royalty, right? But then in tandem with that, you get a bi-weekly, coaching session. You can have bi-weekly coaching session, which is awesome. So I just love that. And I love to continue that conversation offline. I love that a lot. And so a couple things I picked out from that, and this is amazing. I love that you said this. In the beginning of that whole monologue, you talked about, passing on this information to kids, right? And I think this is a beautiful thing. And one of the questions I love asking, financial, guru, maybe you might call yourself a guru or not, but financially, seasoned individuals as yourself who are in this niche, you're also teaching similar to us, right? Is how do you plan? And so there's a subset of questions, but I'll ask my first one. How do you plan to, and it doesn't have to be in depth, but like with kids in the future, if you plan to have kids, right? Is it more of like, are you setting them up prior to them even being born? Because I know so many people, myself, I plan to do this, where you get them a credit card, like literally like within the first year, like they're born, whatever, start building up their credit, or obviously get them, custodial Roth IRA. Obviously, there's so many 529, like there's so many things, them, we all know them, right? But how do you personally plan for people who are financially knowledgeable like yourself to just purely set up your children just perfectly financially?
Yeah, definitely. So first and foremost, my future Mark Jr. or Mark Jr., whatever the girl's name is going to be, they're already set. Like their college is already taken care of.
That's awesome.
Need compound interest to take over.
Yeah.
I put enough money away that they're good. because I never, again, like I don't want anyone to ever in my family, I don't want them to go through the same situation that I went through, where I was just struggling the whole way through. So they're good. There are ways that you can prepare for a child that isn't even an idea yet. Like Mark Ed Jr. is not even an idea at this point. But when they do come, they're going to be set up. That I have a 529. I've been putting money into it for a long time. I didn't mention about I was in the Vanguard 529 program, which is random, but I was in a 529 department. So when I was there, I opened up a New York 529 plan, which is one of the plans that Vanguard used to sponsor. I plan on opening up likely a custodial Roth IRA as well. Plan on opening up just maybe even a custodial brokerage account as well. That way they could, have money when they turn 18, which I mean, basically with a custodial brokerage account, you put money in, the money grows. And then at 18, the account transfers to the child. They get to keep it forever, right? So like, that's me thinking back to when I was 18 and I was dead broke and I was selling my own blood basically to eat, like selling blood plasma. So there's a lot of things I'm doing now to prepare. It's not my main goal, but it is a goal nonetheless. I just want compound interest to work in my favor. Because the thing about it is a lot of people believe that they have to start when the child is born, and they want to make sure their kid is financially free by 18. And it's like, you're limiting the amount of years. Like, sure, 18 years, you can accumulate a lot. But what if I told you can actually do that over 28 years, right? You think to yourself, okay, well, I'm 20 now. I expect to have a child by 30 with this person I'm talking to, whatever it might be. I don't know. And you're like, I want to make sure my kids are good. You can start investing now, even a smaller amount. And then that way, that kid, whenever they turn like 18, 30, whatever, they're financially free. And there's so many different products that you can use in order to make that happen.
Yeah. No, this is good. Oh man, this is good for our listeners out there. Again, if you plan to have kids, there's an order to this. It's a
don't
game,
have kids
kind
in
of like
college.
chess.
Don't have kids in college.
Facts. Great. And it's funny you just
On
said that, right?
On purpose, don't do it. Don't do it.
Facts. And it's funny you just said that, right? So for college students, first off, that's a great piece of advice, 100%. My question right after that was some advice for college students, like as we wrap up here, right? What are some advice, or what is some advice for college students like us, like young people like us? Because again, amazing story, right? And the question originally was, if you were to do it all again, what would you change? But I think it's like you had such a unique story where, and again, obviously you would answer this. I don't feel like you probably have something to change because that really built you and molded you. If you do have something to change, I'd love to hear it. But nonetheless, if you could have added anything, which I guess is a change, right? What kind of advice for our listeners out there, because our demographic, a lot of them are college students, what is some maybe like top 3, top 5, whatever it is, what is some advice you would give to us as college students? Hey, you guys need to be doing this now at your age because I did not and I wish I did.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I have, to your point, I don't have really any regrets or anything I would have done differently. But you guys are in this age that a lot of people wish they were in. The internet age is extremely powerful, and you need to use it to your advantage. LinkedIn in itself is extremely powerful. I don't think people really understand. Like, I think people get it, but they don't. Like, literally on LinkedIn right now, if I was a college student and I wanted a job at, I don't know, name your favorite engineering firm. Like, I don't know what they are.
Yeah, well, Medtronic. That's like a medical device.
Medtronic, you find one person that went to the University of Akron or do I say Ohio State, and you find one person that looks like you, like they might have the same background, maybe went to the same high school. Send them a message. Tell them everything I just told you. Hey, I went to the University of Akron. I'm going there right now. I'm studying this. I have a really big passion for this company. Here's the reasons on why. I would love to have a conversation with you about X, right? Coffee, whatever. I just want to learn. It seems like, and you always want to add in, it seems like you're incredibly successful in whatever you're doing. Add that in because people are just like, oh God, like, flattered, right? Yeah. And then from there, have that conversation, because the way to get a job nowadays isn't you applying from the outside in. It's from someone in the inside pulling you in, saying, yo, he's good. I got him. And they get paid, you get paid at the same time, right? So like they get paid, I don't know if you guys know this, but like if you're an employee at a firm, it's very lucrative, especially with finance and engineering. It's very lucrative to hire someone from the outside. They normally pay you a couple grand just for that because they want people that other people know that
like
come
a referral bonus.
Right. So like that's LinkedIn. You could do that now on like when I was graduating from school, Instagram was brand new. Like it was brand new. People were posting random photos with like a bunch of filters on it. It was stupid. Right. Nowadays, you can literally DM someone, hey, like I know you have, you're working here. Don't be creepy about it, but like if you know someone who knows someone, like send a DM, hey, like I'm curious, like I wanna treat you coffee, lunch, whatever. I just want to know. And then that's the way you get in. And that when I graduated from school and I was going from Vanguard to working in private equity to working in fintech, ask me how I got my job. I DM'd someone who went to Penn State that looked like me and said, oh, like you're a Penn Stater as well. I'm at Vanguard right now. I'm curious about this job that you happen to be in. Seems like you're incredibly successful. I can show you. I can really copy and paste them. I can send them to you guys. And they're like, cool, no problem. Let's, sit down and go get some coffee. Great.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I got the job.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
so
good.
that's my biggest piece of advice. If you're really looking for a lucrative job, network from the inside.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't you should submit a resume when they tell you to submit a resume, not when you use some random person out of the blue. These computers are too smart nowadays. They pick up the fact that you have a 3.71 and not 3.8, you're done. You're done. They're not going to bring you in because it's a fucking computer. They can't look at shit and like understand. So that's probably my biggest advice, man.
That's good. No, and it's interesting because again, Josh and I, part of Society of Sales Engineers, Tyrone and I, part of National Society of Black Engineers, and shout out to Nesby. We're going to the conference next week. Yeah, you know what it's all about, right?
Yeah, what's the conference?
Yeah, it's going to be in Kansas City, Missouri. Literally, next Wednesday. We're going to be there.
Invite Joshua with you.
Okay.
It might be awkward, but you're going to learn a lot, brother.
Yeah,
dude, I would totally go, honestly, but I'm down in Charlotte right now working an internship.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I was gonna ask you off camera about just me being closer to Atlanta. We'll talk.
Yeah, you got it.
100%. No, see, Josh and I, we were just in Raleigh, North Carolina for Society of Sales Engineers, right? So another huge conference. Specific to sales engineers, right? Which I'm also obviously very interested in as well. And we had a competition, and this guy took first. And like, obviously, it's the only organization of sales, so he literally first in the world. I guess you could say him and his partner, Ty Migrant. So this man's nasty. This man's nasty. Josh is nasty. But nonetheless, I say all this. Go ahead. Are you about to say something, Mark?
No.
Okay.
I was saying beast mode, like he's a killer.
Yeah, he's nasty. But I say all this to say that you're incredibly right? We talk about this all the time, and Tyrone knows this. I'm about to start the sentence. He's about to finish it. Your network is your
net worth. Oh my goodness.
Oh, got you. And again, obviously that's a very cheesy statement, but it's facts, right? It's not about what you know. It's not even really about who you know. What truly matters is who knows you, right? Because Mark mentioned that we all know who Bill Gates is, but I have the same birthday as Bill Gates. And when Bill Gates knows me, that's a different story, right? And eventually when I become to that level and people, like I know people, changes the game, right? So absolutely correct, right? We love to, and I'm a bit, Tyrone and Josh both know that I'm like the LinkedIn guy. Like we're going to connect, Mark. Like you're going to, like, I'm the LinkedIn guy. I do this all the time. That's my name of my game. Obviously in finance, but I'm the guy. I literally I'm digressing just really quickly. Even at Society of Sales Engineers, that conference, I was named networker or something. I don't even remember because I have my QR code on my phone or something.
You got the best networker award.
Best networker, right? Because the LinkedIn just goes crazy, right?
Yeah.
Nonetheless, for a lot of our listeners out there, you guys are underestimating LinkedIn, like your network and who you know, or I guess really who knows you. Get that up there, and it's stupidly easy nowadays, right? Like we literally just had an event last night, Tyrone, where we're working on LinkedIn, and I tell people you spend hours on Instagram doing jack nothing, unless it's a business, that's different. You're doing jack nothing, and you're not building your name, not building your profile, when you can spend that exact same time building your LinkedIn, and then you go crazy. I'm applying to jobs right now. Again, I'm digressing, but it's so true. Guys, listen, we're in college, but you're hearing it from Marc Russell. If you're not going to listen to us, listen to this guy. He's been through it. He knows what's up. Use LinkedIn. It's an absolute gem. Network is your network. Thank you, beautiful gem. It wasn't directly related to finance, but I think it's equally as important and indirectly related to finance. So I love that you shared that, Mark. It's absolutely beautiful.
I get you guys paid.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely appreciate that. One of the last questions I'll ask before we get into our quick rapid fire questions, and then if Josh and Tyrone have any further questions, right, is are we, because FY, we plan to be out there, are we going to see you at FinCon?
Are you guys coming to FinCon?
New Orleans, we're going to be there.
I wouldn't miss FinCon for the world.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be there.
So,
I'll be there. I've gone to the last two, and it's a ball. Have you been to any?
No, so like again, we started December 2021, right? And it was just within the last probably half year where we brought out our FAC program, and now we're bringing out courses. Now we're actually building revenue, and we're creating a budget so we can all get to FinCon. No, so this is gonna be our first time. We're ready to
highly
network.
recommend if there's anyone who's remotely interested in finance, they should be there.
Yeah,
it's incredible networking. It is not the bullshit like, oh, like how's it going? Like how's your day? How's the weather? It's like let's go get a shot together and like we'll talk about whatever the hell you want to talk.
Oh my goodness.
You're meeting multi-millionaires. Like these people are killers. Like I like who did I meet? Like because even I go there, I fangirl over people. Like Erica Goldberg was there last time. Like Anthony O'Neill was there.
Anthony O'Neill.
Oh my gosh.
Getting on the table with him. Like it's great networking, just great people that are just down. They like to have fun, but they're also money nerds, and that's my tribe. A lot of advisor conferences are whack as hell. And FinCon, if you have the bread, just go. And you're in New Orleans. How can you say no to New Orleans, right?
I'm about to say New Orleans is a vibe.
Yeah. So it's gonna be good.
Yeah, show up, show out. Don't wear a suit. Wear like I'll prepare you guys, but don't wear a suit.
Yeah,
be normal.
Good.
And you guys will love it for sure.
Yeah. No, I mean it's amazing you said that. And again, it's gonna be our first run around. We just had Robert Farrington, college investor. Shout out to Rob. Probably almost a month ago. He's going to be there. Super excited. Todd Baldwin, a couple months ago, he's going to be there, right? So just like amazing. I'm so excited. And obviously going to meet my guy, Mark, shake his hand. Like it's going to go crazy. It's going to go crazy, right? So I'm super excited about that. Again, just real quick, I just personally, before we get into Tyrone and Josh, you guys have questions. I just personally, again, want to appreciate and thank you, Mark, for what you do. Like I mentioned, I've been following you for a while, and it's interesting because I'm pretty sure I've probably been following you prior to BetterWallet. It's probably Smart Wallet times. At that time, though, I probably wasn't as keen to notice it, so that's on me. But I've been there. And I appreciate what you do. Keep on killing it, and I know you are, and that's why I'm excited to talk offline. I want to know more about you. But yes, I just personally am saying thank you. Even FLI, we appreciate you, and even appreciate your time tonight. So yeah, I'll ask the runaround questions or the quick fire questions after Tyrone and Josh have some quick questions. If not, I can wrap this up.
I did have one question, man. I was going through your Instagram a few days ago before this podcast, and I noticed a post. You mentioned there was the swipe the card and pray mindset. So I wanted to kind of get your background on where that kind of came from, and then kind of how once your mindset shifted, what environments were then opened up to you, kind of getting out of that swipe the card and pray mindset, because I mean that's very relatable. Like I went through something like that, very similar, and now with Yinka, kind of I was being his little test buddy with the zero-based finance, the budgeting system, and I remember kind of going through that process. So I was like, what was that mindset, that development over those years, whether that was in your environment at that time during that mindset, and kind of how you got out of that, and then what opened you up into new environments where you could become financially free later on.
Yeah, so I would say I was $10,000 in credit card debt when I graduated from Penn State in 2012. The credit card debt was the hardest part of my journey, and it was mostly because I used it as a crutch, right? So I was making $50,000 at Vanguard. In my head, I was making $60,000 because I had $10,000 that I could use on my credit card. That's the way I looked at it. Right. So like anytime that I would use my credit card, I was using it because I didn't have enough money in my account in order to pay for it. Right. I have $100 in my account. I need to pay for something that's $200. What are you going to do? Swipe the card. How are you going to pay it off? I don't know. I pray I pay it off next month. Swipe the card and pray. Right. When I would go on trips, I would say, my buddies would be like, let's go to Miami. Who says no to Miami? Sure, no problem. Swipe the card, paying for the flight, paying for the hotel, wherever we choose to go, live, whatever, like we're having the ball. I don't care. Swipe the card, pray like I paid off one day. Literally, that's what I was doing. And then once I got to the point when I did my first zero-based budget, I got to the point where I say, okay, well, I'm like all of my expenses are being routed through my credit card. No wonder I don't know where the hell my money is going. So maybe I should try to figure out like how much am I spending in each category. So then instead of me paying with it for my credit card, I can then just pay it from my debit card or just my bank account and not have to route through my credit card, right? These credit card gurus out there be like, oh no, you should use your credit card. You can use your credit card. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you need to know how to use your credit card wisely. And if you're using it as a crutch, then you probably aren't using it wisely. The way to figure out if you're using it as a crutch, if I take your credit card right now, would you be able to go through the rest of your life not needing it? Could you survive tomorrow without needing it? Most people will say, no, I can't. I need my credit card. That's the challenge. And these credit card companies, they know it. And I shouldn't probably say this on record because I'm like partnering with like a lot of credit card companies that I'm not selling their credit cards, but I'm working with them in like other capacities. But their job is to figure out how can we make you feel like you need this card so we can charge you 20% interest, right? So once I did a zero-based budget, I figured out how to reroute my money. Now I'm at a point where I'll pay for that large expense with my credit card, but then I already have money in my sinking fund that I've already saved up for from Ally, and I'm putting it into that in order to pay it off, right? So I rerouted how I go about paying for things. Before I would just swipe the card and be like, oh, I'll pay it off next month. Probably won't pay off next month. Now I'm at a point where I just pull money from my sinking fund, pay for it, whatever, pay for it with my credit card, let it be $1,000, and I just pay it off that way. So I get the points. I don't mismanage my credit card, and I have my sinking fund in my background collecting me 3.7% every single year. So, but that all came from a lot of trial and error, a lot of me having to get over myself, me rerouting how I went about spending money. It was what I just mentioned is like that was like a 4 or 5 year process of me trying to figure it out. Because heaven knows, like it was tough going through it. Just thinking, oh my God, like I don't have a credit card. Even now, like I'm talking to I talked to one of my best friends from back at home. I got him on a zero-based budget. He's like, bro, how can you live with no money in your bank account? Zero-based budget. I'm like, what do you need money for? He's like, damn, you're right, dog. I'm like, yo, your money should be allocated. It's already allocated. What do you need? Like, if you have money for groceries, you have money for going out, you have money for haircuts, you have money already like allocated where it needs to go. You have money invested. You have money paying off your debt. What the fuck do you need money for, bro? what do you need in your bank account? He's like, I didn't think about that. Next thing you know, he paid off like $10,000 of debt. Like,
wow.
Now he's a homeowner. He bought a new house the other day. He's like, bro, like, what's going on? He hit me up the other day. I took a screenshot. He was like, bro, like ever since I started doing that zero-based budget, he was like, my expenses are my money's in order. I paid off a shit ton of debt. I'm now a homeowner, and for some reason my credit went up. Like, what the hell is going on? I was like, Doc, that's literally what happens.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, time check. I probably need to jump here in a second.
Yeah, no problem. Real quick, Josh, did you have a question?
No, honestly, let's go through the rapid fire.
Yeah. We'll hopefully we can set up some other time offline because I already I was like, man, I already started saying my thank you. I was like, oh, I have some more questions. We'll save that for another time because I want to respect your time. But yes, Mark, we appreciate you. Real quick, rapid fire. These are super quick, right? So questions we like to ask all of our guests is number one, right? For our listeners out there, we have some readers in the community. What is that one book that everybody should be reading?
Rich Dad Poor Dad is definitely number one. So read that. I'm trying to think of one that's not as generic. I think the second one would be Strength Finders 2.0. No one really knows about that, but a lot of times throughout your life, especially for me, a lot of people told me what I'm like horrible at, or used to, and I didn't know what I was good at. Like I didn't know what my strengths were. And because of that, I like suffered. Cause I always thought, hey, like I'm just horrible at everything. Strength Finder 2.0. If you do the quiz at the end, they tell you all the things that you're really good at, and you want to use those to your advantage. Let it be, for me, I know I'm a relator, so I wanted to know where you guys went to school, where you guys live. I want to know all that stuff because that helps me to relate with you, even if I'm shitting on Ohio State. Like, that's like a connection point. So I think I'm at 3 times the shitting on Ohio State on this, right? So I think we try to get number 4.
That's good.
So, but like, I know what it all is. Like, I know I'm strategic. I know, like, I want context on things. I'm an achiever, right? Like, you can't see it, but I have like 15 sticky notes all around. Like, there's like so much that I learned from that book. So it's a non-finance book that I highly recommend.
No, I appreciate that a lot. And again, we're a big finance channel, but yeah, we're a finance organization. But it's kind of like the finance books, or the books that are not finance, are the real gems, right? Atomic Habits. That's another. That's not. It wasn't my question. That was posed to me. That's a beautiful book as well. And I appreciate that. I've never even heard of that book myself. Thank you. So, second question would be, it is already March of 2023, which is crazy. What is that one goal, whether it's business or personal, that you're really looking forward to executing on in 2023?
In 2023, what am I looking to execute on? I mean, really for me, it's expanding not only like the course and everything, but just in person. I want more in-person events. I want to connect with more of the people that follow me. So more of the same, to be honest. I'm looking at my whiteboard now, and everything is all about expansion. Like, how could I do this thing big? One of my friends is holding me to doing a conference. Like, she wants a BetterWallet conference by the end of the year. So she held me to that, and we're going to make it happen. So a lot planned, but if the word of the year was expansion, that would be absolutely correct.
I love that. I love that a lot. That's beautiful. And whenever BetterWallet conference is there or going on, I'm there. Yep.
You're
I'm there.
a speaker, bro.
I'm 100%. I'm there. I love it a lot. Final question, the easiest of them all. For our listeners who resonated with you, who really want to connect with you, find what you do, where can they find you? Anything you want to name, please name it. We want to make sure they can connect with you.
Definitely. I mean, the best way to find me is through BetterWallet on Instagram. Just send me a DM. I'm all about, like, if you're coming to the house, like, you should knock on the door and greet the person that lives there. So send me a DM, introduce yourself. It would be great to get to know you. You can always find me at the BetterWallet podcast as well, where we're sharing powerful money stories from people who truly beat the odds, and then also teaching personal finance, at the end. And then you can find me on YouTube as well, which is crazy. I'm on YouTube now, so we're trying to build that channel up as much as possible. But Instagram is the main channel, so I can see you there.
Awesome. Guys, again, that was at BetterWallet. Please follow Marc. He's doing great things. Tap into his podcast. I've been tapping into it. Looking forward to seeing how that progresses. Congratulations on all of that and what you're doing. I think it's going to be absolutely great. Thank you again. We appreciate you. Absolutely amazing podcast for our listeners out there. If you made it this far, we thank you as well. We do this for you guys. So yes, this was the Financial Literacy Institute podcast, On the Fly podcast. We had Marc Russell from BetterWallet. Again, if you made it this far, we thank you and have a good night.
Have a good one.
Have a good night.